How is everybody doing this morning? Very, very good. Welcome to 2018. Very, very excited about where things are and what's going on. Lots of fun stuff. So, couple things. One, this is your first Saturday that you've been. If you wouldn't mind standing up, have the person brought you stand up so we can introduce you, that would be great. Everyone, this is Adrian Sapo. Oh. Okay. Okay. Stand up, please. Everybody, this is Senia. I've known Senia for about 3-4 years or so, and I met her through somebody in the business, and we met about 3 or 4 years ago. We talked about Primerica, and just kind of things went away, and finally last month and a half, we've been talking, and she obviously she's ready and prepared, and she talked to me about the business, her vision, and she's already done with the classes, and we're ready to take the test the next couple of weeks. So, buddy, welcome, Senia. Awesome. Very, very, very excited. So, a bunch of things we're going to get in. I'm going to do a quick recap of where we are, and then we got a bunch of work to do. So, thank you for being here. One thing I wanted to take a half a second, because on Wednesday night we went over the meeting. We were talking about the fact that we were excited, a bit frustrated, but excited about being the #2 securities license team in the state of California for the year, which is kind of a cool thing. But we missed it. I'd forgotten, Oscar. We missed it by how many? We missed it by 1. However, because of that conversation, my friend Oscar got a little frustrated because I kept asking Oscar, we missed it by how many, Oscar? 1. And so Oscar went in the next morning and said, I got to do this review, know what's going on and stuff like that. And Oscar discovered something. Oscar discovered that, Bob, your 26 never actually got appointed. So you're not, but there's no money associated with the 26, so none of us actually knew. Oscar figured out, so we didn't tie for second in the state of California last year. We tied for first in the state of California last year. So 1, you will be appointed. Your appointment will be registered probably Tuesday or Wednesday. So congratulations on that. 2, thank you for Oscar for getting equally frustrated and willing to go in and get this thing handled and understood. And how freaking unbelievable! Just to put into perspective, the number 1 in the state of California had 2,100 IBAs, and the other #1 had 22 IBAs. 2,100 IBAs in the year 2017 and 22 IBAs in the year 2017. Tied for #1 in the state of California for the license that fundamentally changes people's lives. So very, very, very proud of you guys, proud of what's happening, proud of where we are. It was with 10, right? We're not, like, 10's not our bar, but hey, #1 is still #1, right? So we don't have to tell the outside world that it was only 10. We get to know what it is. But the fun thing is that Melissa passed her 63. Congratulations. So fully licensed to go out and change people's lives with that is in the process of taking her 65. Dorinda passed her 63 a couple days later, right? So it's full weight. Got 2 more fully licensed securities licensed people on their team, which is a big deal. I know that Tony's getting ready to take his 63. He'll be licensed by the end of the month. Congratulations on that. To be able to make sure that stuff is completely done. We get credit for Bob, so the 4 is kind of good. I know that Patty's focused on taking her 65 in the month of January. We've got more folks. We have a legitimate, literally by the end of February, I believe we will beat 2017 in the first 2 months of 2018. Derek will have a 65. There's some really, really cool stuff that's happening. What that means is none of it's been by luck. None of it's been hope and prayer, right? It's not been, we just got a couple motivated people, right? Which we did. We have amazing people and we pray a lot. But at the same time, right, we got to get up and go to work. We got to run the systems and do it. And if you walked around this morning, the fact that you realized that there was a live class that was going on. Xenia walked in, wasn't sure what to do, and we were like, let's put her directly in. Oscar's running a live class. We're going to get her passing that test along with everybody else. right? We've got, right, Don was running the Series 6. All of a sudden, Claudia's down here at Mono. They start getting the 6, right? Sue's getting prepared to help Cindy and Tony get the 63 taken care of. And Wade has the biggest class going in the 65 because they've run through. Anybody who walks in the door that says, I want to get a license, it's not a hope and a prayer. It's not a wish. It's, oh, where are you? Let's take care of it. You take care of one, we'll move to the next. We're not figuring out a system. We're not deciding whether or not we prioritize this. It's step 1, step 2, step 3, all the way down. That is not a little thing. That is a tool that all of us get to take advantage of, and that's an incredibly powerful thing. So thank you all for being a part of that. Thank you for helping us build it, and let's double, triple, quadruple this thing, because the more people we have licensed, the more opportunities we have. The more opportunities we have, the more lives we can change, starting with our own. Y'all with me? Yeah. So I'm all fired up. The #1 licensed securities license team in the state of California. Are you kidding me? Like, that's not a little thing. So, and we have a goal, just to kind of put out there. We will be the #1 securities license team in the country in 17 or in 18, which will be a goal. But I believe we're going to do it from wire to wire. I think we're going to be #1 in January, #1 in February, #1 in March, #1 in April, #1 in May, #1 in June, #1 in July, #1 in August, September, October, November. I believe we could have the most per month and the aggregate the entire way through. And so all of this matters. All of these are things. And when you start, and if any of you are like, why is that important? See, we're in a professional licensed organization, right? We're in a business, we're in a business that has to be able to get licensed. It is a hurdle. It is a professional hurdle. That's not that's just a reality. But if we have a system and a structure and an environment that gets people through that hurdle better than anyone else, when we're talking to somebody about the possibility of them being a part of this, we don't have to look at them and go, gosh, if everything goes right and if all the stars line up and you're lucky and you're with this, maybe you can pass. We get to say, if you want to pass these tests, if you want to get these licenses, we will get you these licenses. That is an authority, that is a strength that all of us get to operate from, which makes it better for us and for the people we're talking to. Because tests, most of the people we recruit haven't, when was the last time you took a test? That's the answer. For most of the people that we're attracting, right? People that have created success in life, they've got organizations, they've got families, they've got this, right? Most of them haven't taken a test and woo! So if we say, hey, here's an industry you've never been a part of, here's an environment you don't understand, oh, and here's an exam structure that you haven't visited in an incredibly long period of time, that combination, that's a deadly cocktail of lack of success. But if we take someone that says, I haven't taken a test in a long time, I have ambition, but I can learn step by step because there's a team there to walk me through it, they don't have to be great at taking a test. They got to show up and leverage their support. That's what we all built in 2017, and that's what we get to model and explode in 18. Because imagine a year from now when there's 40 or 50 people in the life class. There's 60 or 70 people in the security in the 6 and the 63. Wade's got them hanging off the rafters on the 65. That, now people come walking in going, there's something happening. That's what we get to be a part of. And so it starts with the work we're going to do now. Y'all with me? Okay, so one of the things that we did is said, okay, if we're going to grow, which we are, one of the things that we have to be able to do is know what are our steps? What are the things, right? How do we know what this is, right, to be able to guide somebody through? Because it's one thing to go, oh, this is great. It's another thing to say, here's how we do it, right? So we look back and said, okay, really, there's 4 major conversations, right? What do we do? Well, our business-to-business platform that we build is the fundamental building blocks of our business. If someone asks us what we do, is we're spearheading the business-to-business platform for Primerica. We build wellness programs for corporations and organizations and individuals and say we're going to deliver this. We've got a protocol, a game plan, and there's going to be a structured conversation on how to convey that. Once someone says, I'm interested, we have to get them started. People come in with a tremendous amount of enthusiasm, right? There's a lot of hope. There's this, right, the sentence that we always talk to people about. Does anyone remember the sentence they walk into? I hope, or I think I might want to do this, right? For most people, when they walk in the door, that's the sentence they're thinking, right? They're not like, oh my God, I'm committed, I'm going to change my life. Or any of you that way? You walked in going, hopefully it is, but we have a tendency to go, man, I think I might want, and there's a confidence in that. It's a whole lot different than this thing sucks and I don't want anything to do with it. But I'm not also quitting my job and selling my house and saying, man, I'm gonna sign the check and do this thing from the word go. Now there are people who do that, but they don't do it on purpose. They do it on result. Like they get fired, they get this, they're like, F it, I'm not going to. But that's not a concerted effort when someone walks in the door. And so our job is to help them go, I think, to I know. I might, to I do. Want, need. And when we have somebody can go to, I know, I need to do this, now we operate from strength. And so our job when we move people through this process is to move them from, I think I might want to I know I need to. And so we said, man, what we need to do is we need to be able to have a getting started explanation. We call it our getting started quadrant that can give somebody that can walk them through that sprint, that can give them the fundamental building of that, which is what we're going to spend our time on today. But if you want to know why it's important, it's designed to help somebody move from I think I might want to know I know I need to. Because there's steps, there's support, there's process with that. Right? Then we want to be able to talk about, at the end of the day, every business in America that gets started, that's successful, is built to sell. Not to have to sell, but to be able to. See, most small businesses fail, and one of the number one reasons why is the owner puts themselves in the middle of it and say, I am my business. Which feels good. When you get successful and you're your business, it feels pretty good, huh? Because that means you're a badass. The problem means if you get sick, tired, depressed, or go on vacation, what happens to your business? It gets sick, tired, or goes on vacation. Is that security? Is that freedom? Nah. What we want to do is we want to be able to build a business that says it's more valuable the further it gets from me. In the beginning, it's going to be me because I'm going to run it, but it's designed to build the value in proximity. It's designed to move me from it so that I'm running it. And I'm good at running it, but I can train somebody else to run it because if someone else can run it, we can get sick, tired, or vacation. And let's get rid of the first two and just vacation. Right? So we've got to know, what are the tools? What is that story? How do we do it? And then at the end of the day, passive income. Our managed account story as to why we're able to do what we do. What are the tools? What is the mindset? What product services do we have to be able to take care of our today and tomorrow from a business standpoint? And what is the strategic partnership mentality? These are, in Q1, the 4 conversations we're going to get fundamentally sound at. Why? Because we can tell the front end story of what we do. Hey, Zenia, here's what we're going to do, and here's what we're going to be a part of. Wow, sounds really good. Here's how we get you started and move from this sounds pretty good to I really want to be a part of it. Okay, great. Now, as we're building a business for you, we want to make sure that the mindset is set up, that you're running the system so that you don't have to be the center of it, but you get to run it. And ultimately, we want to be able to build it so that it's passive and lets the strategic partnerships and run so you have security, freedom, and opportunity to predict your business. Well, that moves somebody through that process. Does that make sense? So all of us are going to get good at these 4 conversations because this is the top layer of our business. Does that make sense? Okay. Y'all sure? Y'all are as excited as I am. Like, when I wrote this out, I'm like, shit, I can learn 4 conversations. Like this, like that, I can learn these. So, y'all excited? All right. So, I'm going to take 5 minutes and I'm going to run through our getting started quadrant. And then what we're going to do is we're going to split into groups and I'm going to give some assignments and we're going to have some fun. Okay, so the first thing we do, right, when I sit with someone and I say, look, here's what we want to get accomplished over the first 6 months. This is what success is. This is what we want to get accomplished. If I'm working with you, Zania, if I'm working with you, but look, over the next 6 months, I want to let you know what we define as success to make sure that we're on the same page. Is that fair? Right? So the first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that you get your first license. Right? We're going to get you your live license and then on your way to the next one. Which means we've got to do the hours and the quizzes, and then we've got to get you ready for the exams. The great news is we have a system for the hours, we have a system for the quizzes, and we got a structure for the exam. So if you participate in what we're doing, we will get you through that license. Is that fair? Last year, we had an 86% recruit to code ratio, which means we had an 86% recruit to code ratio last year, guys, if you wanted to know what that means. Which meant out of 100 people who said they wanted to get licensed, we got 86 of them licensed. That means if you want to get licensed, we will. What happened to the 14? Dude, people get lost on the way to Disneyland. I have no idea. But at the end of the day, if you want to get something done, you have an 86% chance of getting it done. You got a good chance of doing it. Yeah, our goal this year is at least 92. We won 92% this year. What does that mean? Now the good news is, put a pin in this conversation just so you know, we had an 86% recruit to code ratio figuring out what we were doing. I'm going to say that one more time. We had an 86% recruit to code ratio figuring out what we were doing. We've now figured out what we're doing. Shouldn't our ratio go up? Yeah, right? We're going to be in the low 90s. I believe we can hit 92% for the year, right? So that allows us to shift the game. Now, just to kind of put it in perspective, just because I'm all over the place and having fun, the number 1 license in the state of California had 152 out of 2,100 recruits. We ain't going to get 100 recruits this year. Y'all understand that? But at a 90% recruit to code ratio, if we have 175 IBAs, we actually would be the #1 licensing team in the state of California. And all 175 IBAs is 13 a month. Look around. Could each of us recruit 1 person a month and then have it build on there? See, last year when I had this conversation, if I said we were going to do this, people would look at me like I was insane. But at an 86% recruit to code ratio, like we can play at this level. So that's just fun. Now, I want to let y'all know. I just said I believe we can be the #1 recruit to code ratio in the #1 team. There's a bunch of people who kind of roll their eyes. The only reason they didn't fully roll their eyes was a year ago. This time I said we were going to be the #1 securities license team in the state of California. Everyone rolled their eyes, going, yeah, right now to do that. And what were we? What were we? I forgot. We were the #1 securities licensing team in the state of California, not the #2 by 1, but we were #1. We were tied for 1. We did it. So why can't we do this? We have an 86% recruit to code ratio, not understanding what we were doing. Now it just gets stronger, it just gets better. That's what a team needs to do. So one of the things we want to do is we want to get you that first license and then get you on pace for the next. Does that sound like a good thing? The next thing we want to do is we want to find you $200,000 in assets and have them waiting for you. See, at the end of the day, when you get your securities licenses, you have to renew them every year. Right? They cost about $500. Now, the reality is none of us like writing a check for a license for the future. That's just not a whole lot of fun. But if we get you $200,000 in assets, your passive income is about $44 a month, which will pay you $500 a year. If we made sure that your licenses never lapsed because they were paid by the business you had, would that make keeping your licenses a whole lot easier? Whether you're playing with us 2 years from now or not, if you still have your licenses and you're making $1,000 a year in passive income, are you ever letting those licenses lapse? Oh. No. So then if an opportunity presents itself, your neighbor wins the lottery, $30 million, and you got the license, you think you might tell them, hey, I know someone you should talk to? Yeah, because we can compensate you for it. See, it's about making sure we put people in the best position for their life. I don't know if you're going to be with us for 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, or 60 years. But I know if you have your licenses and an access to us, you will be able to change people's lives all the way through that journey. Is that fair? Right? And the way we're going to do that is once you get licensed, we put you through what's called Rookie Camp. Right, which ultimately says you're new and you don't know what you're doing, so we're going to teach you. So we learned that learning by doing is a whole lot easier, and so we say we're going to put the 10 most important people in your corner, and we're going to explain to them what you're a part of and why. Right? What do you do now, Zania? You work in the legal field, so your friends know you work in the legal field, right? When you talk to them about financial services, they might go, wait, where did this come from? Because they don't line up. But the moment they understand what your passion is, what you drive, you have to change your life. And what we're doing from our wellness platform, we're taking this to corporations to make sure that we can reach people at scale and make a fundamental choice in their life to provide that resource, right? They'll start to understand the journey you're on. And the more they're in your corner, the easier it is. Because there's going to be great days. And guess what? There's going to be some challenging. And in those challenging days, it's kind of nice to be able to call our friends and have them support us and say, just keep your head down, keep doing that. What you're doing is a big deal. That's a whole lot more fun than, well, why are you still doing that? That's my job, is to make sure you'll support all the way through. Is that fair? Now, just as a note, side note as we go through. Remember I talked last week about our getting started a little bit about the compensation? See, what will happen is the getting started is actually going to change, and it's going to become our getting moving. And the day someone passes their test, the upline on them, the leader will sit down with them and do their getting moving, which will essentially explain our compensation, our drive, ask those same questions. It's the same tools. It's still fundamentally sound to be able to move somebody in to what's going on. And so we have that tool completely built. We just moved it from our getting started to our getting moving. Right? Y'all excited? Yeah. Fired up. Okay. Third one says, now here's the deal. Now, so you're going to go see these 10 most. Our business is about telling our story. We need two things when it comes to telling the story. We need to be able to tell the story, and we need to have people who can hear us tell it. The reality is most of us have 5, 6, 7, 10 friends that are willing to listen to us when we're not very good at something. After that, the standard of expectation kind of rises. They want to know that we know more, we're licensed, and we're credible, and all that stuff. So we can't necessarily show up to them and say, hey, I want to practice on you. But these are people that we can fundamentally make a difference. And so it takes time and experience to get that group of people to listen. And so what we realized is once you go through these top 10 and they're in your corner, we said the next group, we're going to teach you how to develop the skills to communicate to them so that they can fundamentally hear what you're doing. And we've got to get you your licenses, right? So we said what we do is over that next 3 or 4 months is our number one goal is to get you a raise, a promotion, or serious recognition in your job. Because we develop the entrepreneurial language that if you learn here, you practice at your job and master, you will start communicating and sounding different. Because most people are tactical. Most people are responsive. They don't sit back and they're not proactive. They don't build strategies first and then actions. And that's what we learn to do. So over the next handful of months, we're going to teach you a bunch of tools that are going to help that. Does that make sense? And if we get you a raise or promotion or recognition of your job, and you can pinpoint to say because of the skill that you learned here, not only does that help your economics there, but it drives your confidence here, doesn't it? So that's what we're going to work together on. Does that sound fair? Right? And then we have, right? And then how we do that, if someone asks, is we do what's called project-based goal setting, and we'll get into that. And one of our key things is something we call why, and we'll get into that. And that comes up only if someone asks, how are you going to do it? Right? And then the last part, the last kind of trigger goal of these first 6 months is we want to put at least 3 to 5 people on your team. And the reason is learning how to learn something is one thing. Learning how to teach it's another. And so you're going to learn both skills, right? The way you learn something is to have it taught to you and you apply it. Traditionally, the way we master it is to have to teach it to somebody else. And so we're going to create a space for you to learn it and teach it, because at the end of the day, we have an amazing crisis. We don't have enough people. See, I don't know if Adrian told you, but we have a fundamental problem. In the next 6 months, based on some of the work that Sue's done, some of the work that Wade's done, some of the work that Robin and I have done, we've got somewhere, some of the work that Adrian's done, we've got somewhere between 400 and 800 people that we need to tell our story. The problem is that there's 30 of us. Can 30 of us tell a story effectively to 800 people one-on-one? No. So we have 2 choices. Tell it really poorly, which doesn't seem like a very good idea. Don't tell it at all, which really doesn't seem like a good idea. But a bunch of people in the room and treat them like everyone else does, which is if they want to do it. Or go get more people so that we can service the people we have. Now here's the dilemma. As we grow our people, we're going to have access to more people. Which means right now we have access to between 800 and 1,000 people that need to hear our story. And in the next 6 months, we'll probably have access to 2,000 to 5,000. When we talk about the fact that we have an amazing crisis, we genuinely don't have enough people, and we need to solve it. We need to grow. And so we need leaders that can help us with that growth. So over the next 6 months, my goal is to tick these 4 boxes with you and I to make sure that we put you in a position to accomplish the things you think are important. Is that fair? Okay. That took 9 minutes, is our getting started. Now, the goal of this, if we remember, is to ultimately move someone from, I think I might want to I know I need to. If we tick these boxes and they get their licenses, is there a higher effectiveness of them thinking that this is something real that they can actually earn on what's going on?
Yes.
If they pass their test and go see some families and make some money, is that going to drive their confidence that this actually works for them? If they get a promotion, raise, or recognition at their job because they can start communicating better and more effectively, is that going to give them confidence that they can fundamentally be a part of this and grow it? And if they build a team and they show other people starting to get traction by doing what they did, will that understand that they can do this to whatever level they want? The Getting Started's designed to tick that box. Now, the more of us that can do it, the further proximity it is for me. Oh wait, that goes into the build itself. Yeah, I'm pretty good at that. But if I've got to do it, I can do it enough. But what if we get, over the next 3 months, everyone in this room to be able to tell that story in their language, but to tick the right boxes? This is how we grow. This is how we grow fast. Does that make sense? So this morning, here's what we're going to do. So hear me for just a second. The reason why I almost didn't do what I just did was I am not looking for comparison. I am not looking for anyone to be self-confident or self-conscious on, oh my God, I can't do that. Most of you can't do that because you don't know it. You can't do it today. But we're going to take the steps to be able to make this happen. That we teach in a very, 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 very structured way. Very simple. I am not the brightest guy in the history of the world. I understood a couple things. One, I need to know what something is. Then I need to know what it means. Then I need to know how it works. Most people, when they're trying to learn something, don't validate this, don't value this, and only want to be able to go here. They hear me do that, and then the moment we say, let's break up into groups, because they can't run how it works, they lose confidence. They lose environment. They lose enthusiasm. At the end of the day, you and I have never learned anything on how it works. Oh, I'm really smart. I don't care. If you don't know what something is, you can't know how it works. Right. If you don't know what the words mean, you can't fully understand how something works. The first thing to do is take your time and energy and know what something is. Once you can map out what it is, you can talk about what it means and you can learn what it means. And when you know what it means, you then can run iterations. You can run it through and figure out how it works. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to build the what it is. I've got a bunch of these. We're going to get into groups. And what we want to do is we're going to spend time on each section. Right? We're going to put different leaders in the room that kind of know a little bit about this conversation. And at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to discuss each quadrant. What are we trying to get accomplished? What are the tools we're talking about? What are the mechanisms that we have? What types of references are there? And we're going to, get in groups of 4, and we're going to discuss it. And at the end, we're going to come up and we're going to kind of figure out. And this is what we're doing today. For the most part, we want to get an understanding of what it is we're talking about. What does it mean to say we're getting a raise, a promotion, or serious recognition? Well, what types of tools are we talking about? What are those things? Or what do we mean? How do we, when he said we have the tools to get somebody through the licensing and through the hours, and like, what does that mean? We want to know the fundamentals and the structures behind it for 2 reasons. One, it'll actually give you confidence to sound like you actually know what you're talking about. And 2, right now, Adrian's only talking to Ziggy about this. So yeah, he's going to explain the quadrant to her. But then when she's like, okay, great, what am I supposed to do? He's not spending time over here. He's spending time with, hey, here's the auto refresh, here's this to get you through that process. And so, and then when she's here, he'll spend the time here, we'll do this. And so you'll know the overall story, and then you'll know the depth of each quadrant. Make sense? Y'all excited?
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is I want you to kind of turn around and look, right, in terms of what's going on, right? And get into groups of 4. Right? Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yes. Groups of 4, and then I'll bounce around to kind of go through. You guys are allowed to go with mom or dad. They're not allowed to be in the same group. Pick one. Whichever one you like better. Go. No. Right? Right? So. Some will have to get up, some won't. Tired? Good. Here, Kate, why don't we move you over to this group? Okay, so the first conversation, here, let me go through, make sure you guys have this. The first conversation is this first quadrant. My suggestion is that you guys split out, you're not in a row, so you can actually kind of look at it. But the conversation is, what is the thinking behind the first quadrant? What are the tools that we have access to? What are the programs that we got? What are the things we learned? What are the emotions that we're trying to convey? These are, I made a little bit of adjustments on some of these. Right? 10 minutes is a long time. Okay, hear me for just a second, please. One of the things that becomes very easy on stuff like this, because we're all friends, is because 10 minutes is a long time, it's easy to think that this is a 2-minute process, and then you start talking about the weekend of the game. Please don't do that. We got 40 minutes. Like, spend the time to go through, because you're going to be sitting in somebody's house who's doing this, and they're going to be asking about this. The more depth, the more emotions, the more you can tell them these stories and understand it, the better you are at influencing people and helping them get through it. So we'll go until about 10:23. Go ahead and start. Just the first quadrant, the first getting them licensed. Sorry, one more thing as we do this. Someone take notes, because at the end of the 4, each group's going to come up and share some high-level things that they learned on each one of the groups, so on each one of the quadrants. So,
and it was
that way you're coming in someone they're kind of have an idea of what it is right from the start. It's not, they don't understand it, or we're always
so I on this top part the rest so so
yeah, well, there's no right or wrong answer to that. Look, I think
yeah. All right, so again, what's the first one? All right, so what do we got? What's happening?
It's not like I'm saying, okay, first thing we're going to do, so nobody knows.
Can I back up for a
Right.
So here's
Okay, let's stop for a second. Question, because you guys are all doing great, and I'm going to annoy you guys on all of this other stuff, right? It's just fun. What's the purpose of the getting started? The overall purpose. To give them guidance, right? At the end of the day, we want to emotionally let them know that this can be done, to give them guidance through. It's a tool of direction, isn't it? Okay, so we're breaking down each quadrant. Are we breaking it down as a tool reference guide for you, the leader, to know what you're conveying and what your purposes are, right? What are the emotions? Because I'm going through and this is new, right? So this is all like, there's a reason we're doing this way. We're going to narrow the focuses so that we understand what it is that we're trying to get accomplished and why, right? The purpose of this page is for someone to feel like, oh, you're going to give me direction. Well, if someone's going to feel like you're going to give me direction, one of the things that we've got to get good at is giving them direction. And so part of this, what happens is if we don't have direction, we give them emotion. When we don't have emotion, we give them direction. The goal of this is to be able to give them both. The emotional security in the direction. When you're done with this conversation, we'll just kind of go back to this. What's this called? What's the name of this? Getting started. So what does that imply? To do, and so when you're done with this conversation, what's going to happen? They're going to get started. Does this make sense? So this is important from the motivation of where this is going. You're telling the story. The goal is for them to do something when you're done with this conversation. Does anyone know what that something is? What does getting started, what is the actual is of getting started?
To take the actual steps to get licensed.
What steps? What's the next step? What do we actually, when this is done, what do we want them to do? When this is over,
Hours of quiz.
we want to register them for You Can Pass. Right? That's what we want. Like, when this conversation's over, we want them, hey, do you have your laptop? Now, when we register for them, You Can Pass. What's the next thing we're going to do? I'm going to give you a cheat sheet on this little quadrant. So the first thing we want to do is register for You Can Pass. What's the very second thing they're going to do after they register for You Can Pass?
Get their laptop.
No, the very next thing. They're going to download Auto Refresh Chrome extension. That's the next thing they're going to do. Why? Because you got them registered, you got their hours started, so the 3 to 10 minutes it's going to take to do the auto refresh and get that started, they've already got, that's another 3 to 5 minutes that's going on. That make sense? Yeah. After they've downloaded auto refresh and got it set up for every 5 minutes, what's the next thing they're going to do? What's the next thing you're going to have them do?
They have to get past all the hours of this. The next step, don't they?
No, no, this is good. This is why we're having this conversation. No, what do they have to do? Get through the quizzes. I have a question. What do they need to do to get through their quizzes?
Fail.
What do they need to do?
Fail.
What do you mean?
Don't get them all right. At least get.
Why?
Because it passes you automatically.
It doesn't matter whether you pass or fail. Did you all know that? That the You Can Pass no longer requires 70% on every quiz? That literally now all you have to do is go and it automatically moves you through? No, you didn't. So what happens is you get them started with You Can Pass, you get them downloading auto refresh, you pull up a quiz and you say, hey, do me a favor, press A. A, enter, A, enter, A, enter. See, it gave you credit. So what you need to do over the next 10 to it'll take you about 20 minutes to just press A for every one of the sets of quizzes and you will be done. So in the first 20 minutes, they can be done with their quizzes. Auto refresh is running on their laptop to be done with the 32 hours. Now we need to set them up on, Tony, the modules and the training. Why? Because do you get, look, at the end of the day, this is a hurdle. The You Can Pass is a hurdle. It's not, you're not going to learn until you can pass this test. We market term insurance. Here's the thing you got to know, Marco. You die, you pay, you die, we pay. It's term insurance. You pay, you die, we pay. That's about what you need to know for our products. You die, you pay, you die, we pay. Game over. Like, it could be a 3-question test. If someone doesn't pay their premiums, do you have to pay? No. If someone pays their premiums but doesn't die, do you have to pay? No. If someone pays their premiums and dies, what happens? We pay. Test over. I'm ready to go. However, the rest of the industry doesn't. By the way, what I'm doing right now is how you're telling the story as to why you're disregarding the hours and quizzes. Because if you don't put perspective in why they're disregarding the hours and quizzes, they're going to think, well, why isn't it important?
Yeah.
And now they're like, what, you don't take law seriously. No, it has nothing to do with taking law seriously. It has to do with the stuff you're going to learn, 1, isn't applicable. 2, you can spend 20 hours studying it. You're not going to be prepared to take the test by doing their stuff. And so you get the hours and quizzes done. You plug into our modules. We will get your butt licensed. We have it on Saturday. We have it on Wednesday. We can arrange other times. You let us know. We got 3 modules. If you pass, you got to get 60%. We'll get this done. That's this quadrant. The emotional part of the story is you're not alone, and we're going to do this. Right? What is it? Wait, you'll know this. Right? In law, if you have the facts, you argue the facts. If you don't, if the facts are on your side, you argue the facts. If the facts aren't on your side, you argue the emotion or whatever like that. You argue the law. And if you don't have either of them, you yell and scream. Right? You pound the table. Right? This is right. So this is important. If the facts are on your side, you argue the facts. If the law is on your side, you argue the law. And if you don't have either one of them, you pound on the table. It's the same thing. We have the structure. Structure alone doesn't move anybody. We have the emotion. Emotion alone doesn't guide somebody. But when we take the guidance and the emotion and we facilitate it, we can move somebody through this. That's our job as someone who's going to shepherd them through the licensing process. That make sense? Yes. So that's this quadrant. You with me?
Yeah.
Now, once you're there, why? People haven't taken tests, emotions, we've got the guidance, we've got this, we plug it in, right? What are the benefits? Why do we do that? So we're going to start again, and we're going to get this. You guys are going to spend some time on this quadrant. It shouldn't take you very long to do the first part. The second emotion that I'm going to ask you as a leader is why we have the modules on Saturday mornings. That could be a 2-minute conversation once you get this first part satisfied. Because we could put everything that Sue's done online, but we don't. Why? And this might take longer than I anticipated.
Starting over. Not really starting.
Getting started.
All right, who's up first?
Are we doing the same thing?
We are doing the same one. We are, okay, so
So these are the conversations we have with,
first things first. Okay, so, yeah, so we're gonna discuss it. Okay, so the reason for why parties?
Because it gives sort of a guideline to a conversation to help guide them.
Okay, that's good.
so we all can be on the same page, so that I can come into a conversation and know where you're at. Or I can explain to the same person that you were talking to the same way you did, if you have any questions. So that the structure
Having a conversation.
It's a certain number of hours.
You know the language.
You know, usually
Okay, so
there's a
this is
certain
what
number of hours that we have.
Yeah, it's going on to be a
And it just keep the basics there. You're not gonna.
Yeah, exactly. And I also suggest that if they're thinking, I think I might want to do this, that as they're walking through this, they're slowly changing back up. Like, they might want to do this, or like, no, I need to do this. I'm going to ask. I'm scared of that.
We're all together. We all know this. We all know the structure of class. And so, yeah, I'm saying. So,
I'm starting to.
Yeah.
And so, you now have testimony. You passed your.
Alright, so Brett just went over the process.
When I
But is
I
that?
took 65,
So I just gave them bullet points on what I'm gonna happen.
So your bullets, so that's what I mean, your bullet points are literally, okay, so I'm gonna be quick. Water
If we.
Right. But if you're sitting down and stuff like that,
You're actually a first makes sense, right? Now or if you got really invested, like you should be really just the way that I need to present myself, that's the way to myself or project that, or you just gotta give you a little map here, figure out stuff.
They should know that.
so we know what this is.
Without your confidence.
What's the why are we getting that first one? I was gonna say
We do sell life insurance, but the way that company investors want to make it, teach.
We have to help our people.
You pay, the IT pay right now. We're not going, we're not even going to debt, but that's everything was skill and.
Well, that's what I'm starting at, because everything I've done. That thing, when that auto refresh is on.
It was funny because when we came in, it's like you sat down, and she said, she's like, oh my God, well, yeah. Yours just like us, we're all starting, so that's what that was. So that's the first one.
So let's just go back.
This is just straight. That's all I.
No, I mean, no, because it brings the time. And you're writing this. Second is how we're going to do it. Really want to know. And we're going to do this. I suggest that yeah, as far as what it is, so the person can see what the outcome is going to be in mind. And now go back through and start.
Going to that one, that one.
Because what I just did, I think now we're in here, how do you walk through?
First part is one of the all you gotta do
Don't necessarily do the same thing.
You want
She says that, and you said that.
I've taken it out.
Not only are we the ones how to have it.
So, first of all,
take, like, right, and that's the part of it. So that's part of it.
you show it on that's first, but
They're embarrassed about it.
so first thing we show them, like, this is what we're gonna get started, right? This is on the first,
But have you,
we're gonna get something on first, this is on, so first we're gonna get you through your life, Then after that, we're gonna move you over to working town.
Okay, let's stop. So, so any questions about that so far? Yes. Yes.
One question that we have is, we were having a conversation about, I'm telling them to rush through the hours of quizzes. And they're like, well, how is that helping somebody who learns better through that? So then that's something that you can just say, that if that's how you learn better by actually sitting and reading, then you're welcome to that, but all that information will be provided to you in the sit-down live class.
Yes, so I would say two things. What I would do is go, if you learn by reading and that's how you process, you absolutely want to do it. Once you're done, you have full disclosure, you have complete access from start to finish. The challenge is the way the system is set up right now, that if you're reading and you get up and go to the bathroom and you don't come back in 6 minutes, the 2.5 hours that you sat on reading don't get credit. And so what we don't want to do is I want to take the frustration component of this away. Because there's really no other way for them to do it. If they're going to do it online, they've got to count the time. That's just the function of where it goes. And so what the AutoFresh does is it says, let's get the 30 hours done so that you get all of the credit while you're reading. So if you're sitting and doing the reading for an hour, great. Then when you go to the bathroom, just leave the AutoRefresh on. It's not going to move you on. It gives you the ability to continue to do it. This isn't about not letting you be the best you can be. It's about taking the frustration of the hurdle out of your way. Right? That's what it's doing. So, and we built the tools. But so I'm gonna pick on something that Don just said, just so that we understand what's going on. Here's what I heard you say. Someone said, I learn better by reading, And we said, well, you can still do that, but it's really better for you to come to the class. That's what I heard you say. Question. If someone feels like they do better reading and you tell them, yeah, that's great, but this is how you do it, do they feel like you're hearing that?
No.
So one of the reasons why we want to understand this and actually spend the time getting into the structure of what this component is and not skipping and going to the others and talking about the emotional side, we want to know the structures and the components of the questions, because navigating that is where recruits get lost. Right there. That's where we lose recruits. They won't tell you that, but you lose them right there. Because what they'll do is they'll be like, they're just trying to shoot the angles. They'll actually, because they don't feel like you're hearing what they're doing, they'll attribute that disconnect to a legitimate reason to leave the business. Which is, wow, they're just trying to like cheat the system. No, by no stretch of the imagination we're trying to cheat the system. But if we don't create a space where they're actually being heard or feeling that way, most people don't know how to give that articulation. Where they're like, wait, I told you I learned better reading and you're telling me that how I learn isn't important? I don't feel comfortable with that. They're not going to say that. What they're going to say is, oh, okay, well that makes sense. And then they're going to tell their spouse, yeah, they want me to like kind of cheat. Which isn't true, but that's where we go. Does that make sense? So that's why we're doing this, is to expose those concepts and those landmines because working with people. That make sense? So your mindset was good, but we want to check ourselves with that.
Yeah, I got two questions. One is, where's the IBA in this process, this whole thing?
I don't know.
Okay. And then the second question is, how much detail do you give on when you're going over with somebody? Is it something you go over the whole thing, or just highlight a couple things, or do you dive into all?
So you heard, today's been recorded, but you heard my getting started. Like, I don't go into the hours and quizzes, I don't go into the you can pass, I don't do that at the beginning. I go through hours and quizzes, we got a system for it, it's called you can pass, we got the modules, we'll take care of that. So I'm giving a high level process as I go through, and then I ask if we can put this together and in 6 months we can accomplish this. This is something that you feel comfortable wanting to move forward with. And you say, yes, great. Then the first thing we got to do is get the process started. Do you have your laptop? Now I'm going to go back to this and I'm going to get into the detail of this. There are two sentences I am not going to say. I'll get into more detail later. I'm never going to say, I'll get into more detail later. Why? It sounds like I'm trying to avoid.
In my mind's out.
All right, well, tell me now. What are you not telling me?
So is this also sort of a recruiting appointment?
No.
basically? No.
So this is after someone's like, I want to do this. What do I do? Now, you can do it on a record. Like if I'm sitting down and I've explained something and someone's like, so how does this work? I can do a high level of this. And I can also talk about it that says, look, if someone's like, so how does all this work? I go, look, at the end of the day, in the first 6 months, our job is to get you licensed, get you passive income, get you successful in the knowledge, and get you building a team. Like that's a 30-second high level, here's our structure. So that they're like, if we can put those together in the first 6 months, is that something you feel comfortable with? Absolutely. Great. So let's set up the next time and figure out if this is something we really want to do. Right? So I can take the top line and turn it into a collapsed, like abridged version of the conversation. But this is, for the most part, I've done a first appointment or I've done a kitchen table, they've come to an Oz night, right? And they're like, yes, I want to do this. Great. Let's get together and let's get you started. That's the reason this is the getting started quadrant. No, getting started. The moving forward is after we've transitioned into that. Right? And this is important. So the second question, why do we do the licensing modules in the office?
I just talked about hearing, you get to hear how other people are understanding things, and it helps you to remember a different way. And I was saying earlier, like I learned language, and one of that is being, I guess, more tactile and active. And then knowing that other people are going through the same thing they're going through, it's encouraging, you're not alone.
Perfect.
Exactly.
All of that's fantastic.
That's what we came up with as well. Accountability.
Okay.
Sense of security, again, you're not alone.
Perfect.
It starts the process of getting them used to coming into the office to start getting the training and they get started early, so that's the
Perfect.
expectation.
All of this is great. There is no right or wrong. These are all components.
I think it makes it more legitimate in other people's eyes too, because you can go to someone's home and say all these great things, but it doesn't become real unless they see something physical, especially for people that are skeptical.
So there's that. Right? So
I think it kind of controls the information that they're receiving. You can know what their hurdles are and what their
you
hangups are.
can control, man. Get you to do exactly what you want to do.
I did my job.
Wait, are you standing up? I channeled off there for a second.
Doesn't it also tell us where they're at? So if someone's coming in on Saturday, we're like, okay, I know where they're at. If they don't come in on Saturday, we have more work.
Yeah. That's good too. Like, so what'll happen is, so all of these are true. All of these are right. Everything you said is dead on fantastic. Well, guidance, support, you know. One of the things that you'll get to know about me, and as we grow, is I learned a long time. I try to play in the next square. When I was a kid, all my friends were older, right? They were all faster, they were all stronger, they were all smarter. Now they still are. They're not necessarily older, but most of y'all are smarter and faster than I am, right? I just surround myself with people better than me. I've done that my entire life. It's allowed me to play at a higher level. I'm in the business. I try really hard to always play at the next level. I tell you, you want to start competing, right? You want to compete at your level, but you actually want to start running the numbers at the next level. You want to compete at the next level psychologically and emotionally, so that when you get there, you know where you're going to stay, right? So you're not surprised at that as we start growing. That's just kind of from a competitive standpoint, kind of how I've always grown. I approach our business very similarly, right? I'm going to always play in the next quadrant. If I know where I am and I know where I want to go, I can link those things together. Does that make sense? So the next quadrant is they pass their test and they're going on rookie camp. They're going into rookie camp. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, we're not going to have it, like this is going to take us a little longer than I anticipated. We'll do more of this on Wednesday. We're going to build from Wednesday to Saturday over the next, while we get this down, right? But one of the things, what are some of the components of rookie camp? What do they need to do in rookie camp? What's the major action that has to occur?
Make their list.
Well, so all this is right, but at the end of the day, they have to go see people. Right? At the end of the day, the only way they're going to get the assets is they're going to go see people. Right? By making their list and going to see their top 10. But there's the action before is they're like, oh, up to this point, have they gone to see people? No. The action of learning and the action of doing are different. Right? Right? When you have to study, there's a time, there's a mental energy that goes to it. When you have to pick up the phone and call someone and go see them, that's a different energy source. There's a different set of anxieties that people are going to have to confront. Is that fair? Okay. So this is important. I want you guys to understand, right? We're valuable if we not only understand the quadrant, we not only understand the pieces of the quadrant, but we actually understand how this stuff's built together. If you understand the construction, everything I do, every tool we have, every conversation we've ever put together, everything we ever do and ever have in Access is based on this philosophy. Where am I? Where do I need to go? And how do I plant the seeds of where I need to go and where I am? Because when we get there, if the seeds are already planted, it makes that grow easier. Does this make sense? Okay, so here's what a healthy, 6 months from now, here's what a healthy Saturday morning looks like. We've got our life, we've got our 6, 63, and 65 classes. At 9:15 or so, we start our, at 9 or 15, we start. Okay, we start our normal training. From 9:15 to 9:30, 9:15 to 9:25, we'll do announcements, we'll do introductions, and then there'll be about 15 minutes of weekly stories. The weekly stories will be rookies in rookie camp telling what they did that week. Some of the impact stories. I went and saw my mom, I went and saw my cousin, I went and saw my best friend, I went and saw, here's what the story was, here's what's going on, here's how it felt. For about 15 minutes, it'll be that story. There will be another 15 minutes of our game day players telling their weekly stories of what they did. Maybe they were with some of their rookie camps, maybe they were with on their own, talking about the families that they're helping. About 25 to 30 minutes will be practical stories of learning, and there will be whoever's emceeing it, and at that point, hopefully it's not me, right? It'll be, I'll be here, but someone else does it, is taking what someone says, taking the lesson out, turning it into a training so that the people are here. Y'all with me? Why? The reason is that if we have people in the licensing process that are here listening to people in the rookie camp going on appointments and the impact that they're doing. Does it make sense? When they pass their test, what's the likelihood of it being a little bit easier for them to want to go on appointments if they've heard that it's working, people are making money, and people are growing? Does it make sense? So if they're coming for the licensing class and they're getting value, and then they're hearing people in rookie camp right now. If you had 7, right? If Manu and Claudia were up here talking about, right, the families that they help, Zenny was talking about, Marco's up here talking about the families that help, the stories and stuff like that, right? Man, I was scared to death to make a call, but it was my sister, and I went and we walked in and they were there, and we tell that story. Does that make you looking at your list a little bit easier? Right? And now all of a sudden it opens the conversation for Wade to help you navigate that, because that's not a natural feeling. It's not a natural action. We don't attract traditional salespeople that understand that they got to smile and dial, right? That none of us like that. None of us are those people necessarily, right? And so we plant the seeds for people to be able to borrow the confidence and structure so that when they move to rookie camp and they want to accomplish it, they've heard and seen people do it. The reason the game day players is that gets the rookie camp people to say, man, I want to hurry and get through my licensing because Wade just picked up. Derek just picked up. Don and Bob just picked up. Such and such just happened. And so now this group of people is motivated to get through because they want to start making some real money. And so now the culture that we start creating is part of what we're building. Yes.
On the meetings that you're doing in the rookie camp, are you talking to them about them investing or more recruiting or either or?
So like when we go, so what we do is we call our wellness first. And that's a great because it'll lead to this. I'll give kind of a highlight of this and then we'll go back on this. Okay. So here's what happens, right? So let's say that you go sit with, you have a sister?
Yeah.
Married?
Yeah.
Kids? What's her name?
Kate.
Kate. And what's her husband's name?
Oh my God.
I don't think that's his name. But I was going to make an inappropriate comment right there. But Kate and Justin. So you call Kate and say, sis, I want your help. I want you to understand what I'm doing. Can you help me? And she's like, oh, what are you doing? I don't care how she feels when we walk in the door. This man is very good. Right? So you walk in the door, you knock on the door, or open the door. She invites you in. If Wade's sitting next to you, who has to come with him? Who do they have to let in? Yeah, because he's standing here, right? That would be weird to have you come in from outside. I've never had someone go, you come in, you have to stay. I've never had it, right? I've had people want to, I've never had anyone do it, right? So all of a sudden they open the door, and here comes Wade, right? He does his little talk, and he sits down and thanks them for the time and say, Melissa started working with us. I'm really excited. She's finishing some of her licensing process. The goal of this, what we do as small business owners, is we realize that it's hard to take on the world alone. So the most important thing we do at the very beginning is we identify the most important people in the world. And we do to have them understand not only what it is you're doing, but why you're doing it. This conversation really is about me sharing what our mission is, why we're doing it, and for you to have a clear understanding of the adventure that Melissa's on so that you can know how you can help her over the next 6 months to a year. Is that fair? So really what I'd like to do, the situation, we specialize in corporate wellness and organizational wellness. So we go into organizations and companies and we do their financial planning services. Kate, what company do you work for? What company is this?
Oh, she works for Ernest and Young.
Ernest and Young. So let's say we walked into Ernest and Young and we ran the wellness. I'm gonna treat you like this. We went in last night, we did it last week, we did a presentation on debt or college or planning or retirement or what have you. And you looked at me and you said, man, Justin and I really need to know about what we're gonna do to put our kids to college. We don't know who to talk to. Hey, wait, can you come over and share this with us? And so now what happens is, I'm gonna come over and I'm gonna share with you how we deliver the information to somebody that we met on a wellness program at Ernest and Young. Is that fair? So as I go through and I have this conversation with you, right, any questions you can ask, please ask them. Because as you ask these questions, Melissa's going to learn not only the answers, but how to navigate, where those are. So if you have any concerns, share them, because we want to be able to go through and do this. And so that's my number one priority. My secondary priority is we can usually help about 90% of the people we sit with. So if there's an area that we can help you with, fantastic, we'll talk about it. If not, fantastic, we will move on, because that's our goal, is to serve where we can serve. And then the third reason as to why I'm here is our company's going through a growth cycle. There's a lot of changes in California law right now, and there's a lot of companies and organizations that need support within the wellness side. They need somebody. Traditionally, the industry says, hey, here's your login, here's your password, go sick 'em tiger. And most of us have access to amazing tools, but we don't know how to take advantage of them. And so as an organization, we feel like it's our responsibility to deliver those resources one-on-one, person to person, to people who need them. So over the next 6 months, year, if you run into an HR director or a business owner that wants support, if you could introduce them or think about Melissa, right, in our team, we're really looking to grow that, because my job is to help Melissa grow that side of her business so that a year from now she's fully supported. So as we go through this, that's what that conversation will be about. Is all that fair and clear? Melissa, did I do okay on that? Yep, okay, great. So, okay, let me ask you a question. And then we go into our, have you already asked the staff in the process, and here's why we do it. And so now we share our story. At the end of sharing our story, we're gonna look at them and say, you know, do you know your debt free day? Do you know, take your kids to college, you know, protect your family, you know, and they're gonna say no. And we're gonna say, well, how important are those questions, really? How important are the answers? Incredibly important. How many people know the answer? None. Why? Why do none of us know really important and easy questions to ask? And no one's to talk to and know about this information. Isn't that amazing? Yes. So that's why Melissa's doing this, is she feels emotionally compelled to this. And wow, that's really cool. Great. Now, to be honest with you, up to this point, we're done. Sis, you've done your job. When it comes to being a good sister, you've satisfied your requirement. At least for today. I can't tell you about tomorrow, but for today, right, in terms of this, we're done, right? Really what you did is you gave us a platform for Melissa to see how we deliver this information. You have a clear impact of what it is we're working to accomplish. And that's really important. Now, I'm going to ask you a straightforward question that has to do with you. This has nothing to do with you helping your sister. If we could put together a program that could actually answer those questions for you and give you a step-by-step game plan to make it a reality, is that something you think you would see value for you and your family in this? And they're either going to say, right now, no, great, fantastic. I have a question for you. As Melissa grows and develops and gets my license and increases her skill, would you be okay if 2 or 3 months from now she came back, at least to SIS, and sat with you and did similar presentations so you could watch how her skill and development is growing and she could be a part of that? Is that something you guys would be open to? Yes. If down the line the opportunity presents itself and you did need a plan to put your kids to college, is Melissa the type of person, is this the type of thing that you'd be open to getting answers as to how? Great, so we can talk about that. Boom, no problem. Yeah, I think so. Great. So what we need to do then is we do a complimentary financial needs analysis. Edward Jones charges $1,000 for it. Prudential Advisors charge $303,000. We do it for free. So what this process is we go step by step and say the first step is today. Let's gather the information and let's schedule a time to go back. And now we schedule the time to go back. So that is our wellness first. Right? We're going to go in and we're going to tell our story. Now, the ideal situation, you're in the perfect position in this room. Marco's in the perfect position in this room. Right? The ideal situation is you're going to pass your test. So let's say that you pass your test on the 28th. The best thing that can be imaginable is on the 29th. It'll take about 3 weeks to get you coded. So what happens is you pass the test and the state department of insurance has to do their reviews and primary does the background, and it takes about 3 weeks. The single best thing that can happen is the day you pass your test, you start seeing, in the first 3 or 4 days after you pass your test, you go on those 6, 7, 8 appointments. You gather the financial needs analysis. We don't write any business because we don't do business on the first inning. You gather the information and you tell them, I can't schedule a go back because I'm not appointed yet and we're not allowed to deliver these until I'm appointed. But I wanted to gather. What Adrian and I will do is we're going to build your plan. And then the moment I find out that I'm appointed within the state and with the company, I'll reach out and hopefully within the next couple of days we can get back together. What happens then is then you have the ability to have 6, 7, 8, 9 financial needs analysis sitting on the shelf. And the day you get licensed and certified, you then can reach out to them and say, hey, I'm appointed, can we come over this week? And now all of a sudden you could have 4, 5, 6, 7 go backs within the first 90 hours of this. Help somebody invest, help somebody protect their family, and make some money, create some profit, do a couple out of homes, do a variety of different things within that period of time. You don't have to pass your life test and be certified to do the auto and home certification. So you can do the auto and home during that period of time. You can make $1,000 your first week license. That is how our momentum and our activity will create. But a lot of that happens. We've always been able to do that. But getting somebody to do it before they have the vision that it's possible becomes challenging. Right? Listen, you've had access to these licenses, you've had access to people help, but you have to have enough to get you past that moment. The culture, one of two things has to happen. Either Wade or I have to have the skill to get you to overcome some of the reservations and fears, or push you hard enough to have you say, well, F it, I guess this is what I need to do, which ultimately converts you into a salesperson, which isn't what you want, but what people will do. Or we create a collective where the culture of impact takes over. And now all of a sudden, instead of I need to make these calls because I need to make a sale, it's, oh my gosh, I need to tell these stories because I need these people in my corner. And when that happens, our motivation for the phone call changes. Because right now, when you look at the phone, you're thinking, it's almost impossible for you not to be thinking about, am I going to go try to sell them something? And so you're doing that emotional baggage right there, which doesn't allow you to operate from strength. Because that's out of alignment with who you are and what you want to do. But if we replace that with, I want to make an impact and I just want them in my corner, and I want them to be clear because I've seen what happens when people are clear, now there's an enthusiasm to sharing this message. Because the sale is an inevitable result if there's a need, but it doesn't have to be the event. And so that gets built here. That's the emotional component to these two quadrants. That's what it is these two quadrants are designed to do, is to get somebody started, to get them to plug in, and to get them to understand the starting foundations of where this is. As we create this culture, and we have more and more people here, when we're doing or getting started, we actually get to start talking about some of the people that are doing this, so that when they walk into a Saturday, and we've already told the 2 stories about Xenia and Marco and that, right? And listen, all of a sudden they're like, oh, that's right, you told me, you were the one that went, I just passed your test, right? You passed your test and had go backs, and then all of a sudden you made like, they said you made like 4 sales and $3,000 and some recruit, like in your first 2 days. How did that happen? And you're like, well, I ran the play. And in Primerica, they tell that story. Because I was a pretty good recruiter and I could get people started. Adrian was better than I am, right? So all of a sudden we'd recruit somebody and we could get them on appointments like today, right? I recruit Claudia today. She's on 2 appointments on the weekend, right? I can get you all fired up. I can parents, like your sister, man, we go in, we rock and roll, right? We write 4 or 5 sales. You're all fired up. How much money you make? None. But we're like, oh man, we got off to a fast start. I want to get you off to a fast start too, but I want the money to go into your pocket. That's the component of these 2 pieces. Does that make sense? Does that answer that question? That's why we do the licensing modules in the office. Because if they're here, and as we grow our culture, I don't have to confront, we need to go see people if you've heard 17 people going to see people. Now you're like, well, so how did they do it? Now you're curious about the functionality and what you do, not the emotion of. Because I can't confront the question that you asked in a conversation until you ask it. Until you go, so are we going for sales or recruit? Like, what? Both of those questions created fear. If I said yes to either one of those, like you're like, well, neither one of those are good. The two options I gave you both suck. Pick one. I know. I'm gonna go for C, the one you haven't told me about, because I'm in charge of knowing this, and you can't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So over the next couple days, spend more time getting clear on the actual structure of this. Not that you're going to explain it on the first go around, but you're going to understand it. The more you understand something, actually, the less you end up explaining. Think about your life, think about your job, think about your kids. The more you're clear on something, the more assertive you are on this is how this is. When you're not clear, you get worried. When you're like, I know exactly how I'm going to get you licensed. All I need you to listen to, all I need you to do is to listen to me. Then is my goal to get you to do the things I need you to do? No, my goal is to get you to listen to me. I'm going to say this and then I'm finished. My goal is I know exactly what I need to do to get you successful. Do I need you to understand how you're going to get successful? No. I need you to believe that if you follow the things I'm going to say, you're going to get successful. So the time, energy, and conversations isn't about the structure. It's about the confidence. But if you ask me questions on the confidence, I rattle off the structure, and you're like, holy shit, all right, let's go. It's not because you're trying to learn the structure. It's because it increases the credibility and the confidence. Yeah. That's true. That's what we get to do. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So 1, understand these quadrants. Understand quadrant 1. Start thinking about 2, and we'll pick it up on Wednesday. Let's have fun. Let them know it's all about. And this is recorded today.
Yeah.
So if you guys
Need it.
I haven't